Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at Apocalypse from Marvel Universe, Series 3. Now, I've heard that his costume is based on his appearance from the Messiah Wars, which I'm not all that familiar with. Personally, I would have preferred just a more conventional, more classic-looking Apocalypse, especially because, it kind of scale better with the, existing Build-A-Figure. Like, you could use this for like a sort of normal sized one and have the large Build-A-Figure out for when you sort of switch the scene, but whatever. It does look to be a pretty decent Apocalypse, and hold on a second, I'll get him out of pack. And here we have Apocalypse out of pack. Now the character comes with a stand, but I don't have it with me right now. You all know what these look like, so yeah, let's leave it at that. And plus, for the oversized characters, it doesn't really do you a ton of good. Now, when I first saw Apocalypse, I just thought he was a kind of crappy mashup of, the previous molds and everything. Because he shares a number of parts with Juggernaut here. Specifically, the torso piece, lower torso, arms, then the ball-jointed shoulders. The boots, gauntlets, and gloves are new, in addition to this really cool pack thing and this crazy belt. Of course, when I first saw this, I was thinking, don't those look like Colossus's hands? But, Colossus is a much smaller figure, so I don't think they could just upscale things in terms of size, although that'd be kind of neat if they could. But now that I have him out of pack, he does have a bit more going for him than I initially thought. And, when you're looking at pictures online, it's never quite the same thing. The one major downside with this figure, though, is he just doesn't have much upper body movement, just because of the cables stretching across his arms here, for instance. You'll get some amount of resistance every time you try to bend his elbow, which I just think it's due to the cables going taut or whatever. And then, of course, that means you can't move it all that much out front of his body or anything, which limits the posability and everything. Which, definitely kind of sucks. But to make up for it, he actually has foot pivot, which is something you very rarely see on your 3 3/4 inch figures. It's very neat. It's a really good range as well, because it also has forward back, as opposed to sort of a samurai who, for whatever reason, had foot pivot but no forward back. It's kind of funky. If you saw that review, you'll know what I mean. The other thing is the shoulder pads will somewhat impede motion. It feels like this part here is just glued to the chest or whatever, and I honestly don't want to try dislodging it. But the physical shoulder pads here do flip up, and you can see that's kind of a standard mold. So if you do want the additional arm movement and stuff, you can kind of get the arm up, but again, when you try to move it forward, it's going to be somewhat impeded by the cables, and the more you move the cables, the more likely they are to inevitably snap. And over time, when plastic dries and stuff, it will probably break. So that is a major disappointment. Detail-wise, again, a lot of the elements of the sculpt are the same as Juggernaut's. Granted, it's a cool mold and everything, but when you keep seeing the same sort of thing pop up, it becomes like the smaller scale ones where they recycled a lot of parts. But the new stuff does help disguise that fact pretty well, particularly the upper body stuff. And then he's got this crazy belt, which when I first had him in pack, it was all the way up here. It is kind of adjustable, but I guess it's kind of like a really gigantic cod piece or whatever, so nobody will be kicking him down there. Paint-wise, there's a fair amount of wash on the gray portions. You'll notice that they have it going all around this part, all around his butt, in addition to some amount of shading here on the side abs, which is all pretty cool. The blue portions are just a metallic blue. They have that little glitter or something effect in it. You don't really see much in terms of shading or shadowing or what have you, although the lines look a little bit deeper where it's indented, so I just think there's probably more of a paint app in there. The head sculpt is pretty awesome. The only downsides, it looks like the little things here aren't quite even. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be that way or if it's just mine. It doesn't bother me a whole lot. In terms of articulation, it's just also kind of tough to get his head to move because of the huge thing here. So trying to get the chin up is a massive pain. Quick run through of articulation. We have a head on a physical ball joint. Again, if you can't get the chin up, you don't have nails, like, I don't have nails. You probably just shove a coin under there or something and just push it up a little bit, although it doesn't have a huge range. Full range of rotation here at the wrists. He's got one closed fist, one open fist, one open hand. So when a hand's open, it's no longer a fist. Semantics. Single joint here at the elbow, again, heavily impeded by the cables. Point of rotation here at the bicep, heavily impeded by the cables. Ball jointed shoulder with outward motion, but not a whole lot of forward motion because it's kind of impeded by the cables. Not as much though. Although once you get to a certain point, he has a really wide range here on the torso joint. That's in lieu of a waist joint. He doesn't really have a lot of full side, like his side can't pull all the way out to this. Well, you know what I mean. I wonder if that's discoloration or if my hands are just got some crap on them. Nah. But then we have the same type of hip there, where you have outward motion. It's not a physical ball or something, but you have this additional split to like help it along because it doesn't work that well on the larger characters. And it is a awesome way to compensate for it. By the way, sculpted boot. Double joint knee. And then we have this really awesome joint here at the leg. Sorry, the ankle. Technically that is a little part of the leg, but still. A huge inward motion, then a fair amount of side-to-side pivot. So in many ways, he is a really awesome figure, but the big drawback again is just these stupid cables, which, because they aren't detachable or anything, you can't really remove them. I mean, you'd have to like cut them, and who wants to cut them? You'd destroy the figure then. I mean, it would have been cool if they had a little bit more slack to them, or if they did detach in like either the gauntlet portion or the shoulders, so you could just mess around with it and get the arms to go where you want them to. Like some epic arm holding out pose or something with the wrist bent, but that's not an option like this. And once again, just as a personal preference, would have liked a sort of more traditional look for the character as opposed to this Messiah Wars / more modern appearance. Also, he's got his trademark information right here in the inner boot. So yeah, decentish figure. I wouldn't say he's spectacular. I mean, it's definitely a good effort, and once again, these are bigger dudes, so you are getting more of your money's worth compared to these smaller figures like the classic Armor Iron Man, who's completely dwarfed. And also the other sort of thing is, even if they do reuse some parts, just due to the length of the new parts, like it looks like his boots and stuff are a bit longer, the calf is a bit longer, you do get like a sort of variable height, where it looks like Apocalypse is a bit taller than Juggernaut here. Well, it's hard to tell because Juggernaut's got the dome head going on. So I mean, you do definitely get a certain amount of variety, and he will definitely sort of spice up any shelf. But this has been a look at the Marvel Universe Apocalypse. Good figure, probably one of the better ones this year. And well, until next time, folks.